won't be able to reach him. And our candidates are like, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on to see the candidates because they're like 50 feet away. We got, waiting on Dan. Okay, we got some people cutting it close.
Try this.
There's Hugh, he's coming. Here. Any last minute anything? You got some water, Mike? Oh, I see it over there.
Katie, do we have an extension cord?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I have one right here.
Hugh, can you?
Hey, folks.
Okay, great. All right, we're counting down. We're still missing
Just
Phil
made it.
and so we may end up starting off without them. Okay, Dan's trying to get in here.
Just about got a power cut.
Okay, I know Phil's supposed to be joining us. I don't see him on here yet. Okay, but we've got a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started. So it is 8 o'clock. Welcome to our, this is Monday, February 23rd. Boy, am I messed up. Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021, special city council meeting. And I'll just we can just call the meeting to order while we're waiting on our other council member to join, and I'll do the roll call. So please let me know if you're here. Odin Langford.
Here.
Hey, Annie Kurtz.
Present.
Mike Kennedy.
Present.
Dan Dunn.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. It's not Monday. Hugh.
Howdy.
All right. Okay, so we are short Councilmember Follier. So anyone to make a motion and to excuse him until he arrives?
I make a motion.
I move to excuse Councilmember Follier.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? No, we just lost Hugh's video. Okay, so we have excused Councilmember Follier, and I expect to see him join here shortly. So agenda approval, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented for this evening.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded by Councilmember Kurtz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved, and I see Councilmember Follier has joined us. Great. Make sure he can hear us. Okay, all right, so tonight we will be interviewing applicants for the vacant seat 7 position in City Council. After last night, the council got the list down to 6 candidates. And each candidate will have 15 minutes to answer a series of 4 questions. There's a couple subsets to that, and then they will have 2 minutes at the end to make an ending statement. Then we will do our regular sanitizing in between. After we're done interviewing the candidates, we will break for executive session like we did last night to discuss qualifications, nail down the voting process. When we come out, we will walk through the voting process, and then we will go through that to see who our next appointed council member will be. So first up is Chris Cargill, so we will get him brought in here. And we'll just see where he is. You're a little bit farther away tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll leave it up to you, Chris, if you want to leave your mask on or off. I think we're all at a pretty safe distance here tonight.
Yeah.
So Chris, while you're getting settled, just to walk through with you real quick. So we're going to put a 15-minute timer on. So we've got 4 questions with some sub-questions. So kind of mind your time. And then at the end, you'll have 2 minutes to kind of do a summary or extra statement if there's something you want to add.
Okay.
So, and I will be reading the questions for you. So if you're settled and ready,
I'm ready.
I will start. Okay. So, Chris, you've already shared your background and experience with us, and we thank you for coming in last night to do that. This is an interim position that will serve through the November general election. If selected, please share with us what you plan to accomplish between now and November.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's a great question. It's good to see everyone again and those of you online. It's a great question, and I think the question cannot necessarily be answered without talking with all of you as council members. I think it's going to be important for the 7 of us, the 8 of us, with the mayor as well, to come up with what we want to accomplish for the next 7 or 8 months. You can all do that. I don't come into this position with anything in particular that I say, I gotta get this done, I want to get this done. I don't think that's the way we should go about trying to fill this position. I think we should be trying to find someone who will work with all of you as council members for the betterment of the city and to move things forward. Obviously, in my application, I put some different ideas that I have, and those ideas come from my experience working with other cities and counties all across the state. So that's part of my job. I think that's the advantage that I bring as a candidate, is to share different ideas and the things that are working well in other communities, and then also steer us away from things that are perhaps not working so well in other communities. I think that's critically important.
Good, great. So as a follow-up, in addition, can you please provide us whether you intend to run for the open position this November?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I think the answer is, I don't know.
Okay.
It's going to be up to me and my family, obviously. It's a big commitment, as you guys all know. And it's not something that I can say here tonight that is or is not going to happen, because I'm sure my wife and kids are watching, and they want to be part of that decision as well. Because, quite frankly, if I am going to run, I'm going to depend on them to go out and with me and talking to the community and doorbelling and all that thing that comes with being a candidate. I'm not a politician. I think that's one of the advantages that I bring. You know, this is not something I've necessarily always wanted to do, but I think any decision about running for office, I'm going to have to make and convince the family. And if I am selected by the council, I probably will depend on all of you as council members to perhaps convince my family, and they might be a little bit of convincing.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. So the next topic is budget and city service decisions. When faced with competing budgetary priorities, describe how you will make spending decisions to make the best decision for the city of Liberty Lake.
Yeah, this is a big priority for me. You know, I'm a priorities of government approach type of person, and that's a POG approach. Some people are familiar with it, but for those of you who aren't, this basically means that you get together the list of city priorities that you have. You put them in order from 1 to, let's say, 100 or 500 or 1,000, whatever, however long that list is. And then you take the revenues that you have and you fund down that list. And then when you get to the bottom of the list, the things that are at the bottom are what you go back to the community and say, we might need a tax increase or revenue for this particular program that's at the bottom. That actually is a priority of former Governor Locke and former Governor Gregoire. It's worked very well in other cities and states as well. And I just think priority of government is the approach that I would take. I don't think we can go to citizens and say, let's fund everything at the bottom of the list and you pay for expansion of the things at the top of the list, when really our goal as a council should be to make sure that we're funding priorities first. It's a matter really, to me, of needs versus wants. The things that are at the top of the list are the needs. The things that are at the bottom of the list might be the wants, and those are what we should go to the council or to the community with.
Great, thank you. So second piece to this section, which city services or facilities do you consider a priority?
This is a great question, because it's something, it's a debate that's been going on, obviously, in our community for a long time. I put in my application a couple of different ideas about this, what we could be doing with the trailhead facility, what we need to be doing with the library and the police department as well. You know, I really envision a large community building somewhere. I put in my application, and maybe it's at the corner of Liberty Lake and Country Vista, but I have other ideas as well. That building can house all of the things that we're talking about here. House the expansion of the city hall, which we're going to need as the community grows. House the expansion of the library, which is critically important. House the police department, the trailhead facility as well. And then also perhaps have some street level retail that can be built into this facility. I really think the most important thing we can do is have a multi-purpose building somewhere that can house all of these things. And then we can go to the community with a plan that says, okay, here's what we would like to do with this facility. Here's where we want to build it. Here's even what it would look like. Will you support us on it? And if I can just add, as far as the city programs go, you know, with the police chief last council session last week, talking about the comparisons of Liberty Lake versus Airway Heights and Cheney. Now, I think obviously public safety is our top priority. It has to be our top priority. And so I fully support the chief's proposal to add another officer, if not more than that. You know, I want to make sure that we are the safest community in the area and that people want to come here because of that.
Thank you. So next question is the last in this series. What is the biggest budget you've personally been responsible for administering?
So I am responsible for actually 3 different budgets in my organization, Washington Policy Center, that make up approximately $1 million for those 3 budgets. One of them is our office, our Eastern Washington office and activities budget. One of them is our annual event budget. And then in the past year, I've been in charge of the marketing campaign budget that has tried to educate young people on the importance of free markets in our system today. And so those 3 budgets, if you add them all together, a total of about $950,000 to $975,000. They fluctuate obviously year to year with what's happening, but those are the 3 budgets that I've been in charge of.
Thank you. All right. So serving on the city council takes an average commitment of approximately 8 hours, give or take, per week. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment to include preparation for regular and special council meetings, engaging with the community, and attending committee and training events.
Yeah, this is these are all great questions, so I thank you for that. But this is a good question and good inquiry, because I think it shows the commitment that a person has, whether they actually set aside the time to do the job. And so obviously I have an 8 to 5 job right now that I spend a lot of time doing what you all as council members do: read policy, read ideas that are coming in from different parts of the state or different cities. As far as my time commitment goes, you know, I'm a night owl. So my kids and wife go to bed, and then I stay up at night, and sometimes I'm just looking at different agendas for different meetings that are going on in county commissions, or reading bills that are coming out from the state legislature. That's when I feel like I do my best work, is after all the distractions are gone. So that's how I would allocate my time at home. As far as my time in the community, you know, I try to get out in the community and do as many things as I can possibly do with the time that I have. I do a little bit of traveling for my job right now when we are in a normal situation. My goal would be to make sure that I'm trying to be as active as I can possibly be. And a lot of that, I believe, comes with organizational skills. I have a calendar that I cling to, as I'm sure all of you do as well. And so as long as I plan ahead, work with my wife with her schedule, as well as getting the kids to baseball practice and the dentist and the eye doctor and all those different things that all families have to deal with, obviously, my schedule allows for it.
Thank you. And the last couple questions are on growth and development. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities? I know you addressed this a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just expand on it. You know, I think we have a huge opportunity. Great challenge with the fact that we're going to be built out in the next 10 to 20 years, but a great opportunity as well. And that opportunity exists, I touched on it a little bit last night, in the area by the new high school and the Kramer overpass. I really think that has to be our concentration, especially once the overpass is done, and when the high school is done, obviously. And the reason why I say that is because businesses, restaurants, they like to open up next to places or near places that are community centers. The high school is going to be a community center. We're going to have Friday night football games going on there. We're going to have band concerts. We're going to have community craft fairs. I want the people who come to the area for those events to stay here, to come to a restaurant in Liberty Lake or a shop in Liberty Lake. And the reason for that, obviously, is it's good for our businesses, but it also provides tax revenue for us if we get those people to stay in the community. I fear if we don't have facilities and don't have restaurants and businesses over near the high school, they'll just go over to Barker and then get on I-90 and leave. So I really think it's important that we concentrate on that area over the next, 5 to 10 years. But I just want to emphasize that I think that's going to be a community decision as well, and something we need to take to the community and say, we're going to turn this area into part of the central business district and make it just as important as the downtown core.
Okay. And so the last one, how do you balance the best interest of all citizens against the interest of a smaller but much more vocal group?
Well, this is a good thing to kind of touch on here, because sometimes you're going to get angry emails. Sometimes you're going to get a lot of loud voices in the room saying, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I think the role of a council member is to make sure that they are not only balancing those comments, but also balancing all of the other things that come before the council. Balancing the city's future finances, balancing the needs of the community, different communities that we have. So what I always say is that, look, I want to be as transparent and as open as possible. I want people to be involved in the council meetings. I want to broadcast all of our city council meetings on social media and on YouTube and all these different outlets so that people can be involved. And that means I want to hear from everybody as well. You're always going to get the angry person. I worked at a television station for 10 years. We got angry emails all the time. So I'm used to that. But I think it's important to hear that type of feedback.
All right. All right, well, that is all of our questions. So you've got 2 minutes to do a wrap-up.
Well, great. I just want to say thank you to all of you and to the council members online as well. I really appreciate the opportunity. I really appreciate the city staff as well, being here 2 nights in a row, kind of corralling everybody. I'm also grateful for the opportunity to be able to work with all of you as a city council member. I'm the local kid. I'm the one who grew up here, stayed here, went to CV, went to Gonzaga, and so I really have a passion and heart for the community. I'm a communications leader with 2 decades of experience in not only broadcast communications, but also in the communications we have with trying to update and inform the public on what's happening in government. And I think that's critically important. I'm a policy guy. I'm a guy that's involved in community boards all across Eastern Washington and cities all across Eastern Washington. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm the one who will be able to bring back ideas from those different cities and say, maybe we can do it this way and put a Liberty Lake spin on it. I'm a strong advocate for transparency. That's one of the most important things to me, just personally and professionally. I'm a working father who wants the community to be better. I have a 13 I have a 13-year-old and an 8-year-old, and I always think we can improve the community. No matter, I think we're doing a great job already, but there's always room for improvement. So I understand that I don't know it all. I'm going to to give me that feedback, and I'm just pledging to you tonight that if I'm selected for this position, I'm going to listen to that feedback. I'm going to listen to the community and listen to all of you. I think my experience is a tremendous asset to the council and the community, so I look forward to being able to work with you in that capacity.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you all online as well. Good to see you.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, I'm going to do our little interim routine here, and our next candidate will be Holly Woodruff.
Is Vanna White to come in? Can't hear you.
Holly.
Woodruff. Time-wise, it was very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Holly, welcome back. Since you're 50 feet away, and your choice on leaving the mask on or taking it off?
So I'm not too worried.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me back. How exciting.
Yeah. So we've got 4 questions, a couple parts.
Okay.
You'll have 15 minutes as we go through those questions, so kind of be mindful of the clock as we're going through. And then at the end, you'll have 2 minutes to give an extra statement, summary, however you want to use that time.
Okay.
And I'll be asking the questions. So if you're ready, we will jump right in. Okay. So Holly, you've already shared your background and experience with us. This is an interim position that will serve through the November general election. So if selected, please share with us what you plan to accomplish between now and November.
Between now and November, okay. One of the things, because I know the budget will be one of the things that we'll be working on, is I want to be involved in that process. I know the final vote isn't taken till December, but again, I know no matter what happens in the November election, I'm going to be in that office until the end of December. So that's one of the things I'm really excited about. As I said last night, I love dealing with budgets, and I enjoy looking through and finding, okay, why are we doing this way? Why are we spending this money? So making sure that we have a good budget process is one of the things that I look forward to working on if I'm selected. Another thing is also just looking at how we're developing our infrastructure. I know we're working on Harvard Road and Henry Road. I want to be sure that keeps going as well as possible. And I want to look at other development. How is our housing development? What are we doing for businesses? I know we've got some new businesses coming in. I've been trying to keep up on that. And how are we helping our small businesses? Because I know they're hurting a lot right now. Things are a little better as we're starting to open up, especially for our restaurants at 25%. That, how can we advocate? And I think we're going to have to keep doing that. The west side of the state seems to forget that the east side of the state is here. I'm used to that. I'm living in Indiana, because again, east side of the state is kind of ignored. So we have to fight for that, and I think that's another thing I hope to accomplish when if I'm in office.
Good.
Can't
Can't hurt to be optimistic. So as a follow-up to that, in addition, so can you please provide us whether you intend to run for the open council position?
Yes. I was planning on running for council anyway, So,
Okay,
again, whether I'm selected or not, that would still be my plan, right, to be your own council. And again, whether I'm selected or not, I still plan to be involved. You know, my term is up in the salary commission, and I don't know when that's going to be posted again, but if I'm not selected for city council, I'd like to be on salary commission again and still be involved with that.
all right, thank you. So this next section has kind of three parts with regards to budget and city services. So when faced with competing budgetary priorities, describe how you will make spending decisions to make the best decision for the city of Liberty Lake.
I would probably use the social work process, the problem-solving process. You know, prioritize and look at everything. Here are all the things that need to be done. This is how I work with clients when I work with a therapist. Here are all the things you want to do. Here are all the things you've come in to tell me that you want to accomplish in therapy. Now let's look at what's the, you know, number one, what's easiest, because sometimes you just need that one thing to do that gives you confidence in moving on. So I might look at, okay, what can we do easily and cheaply that will give us the most bang for the buck? But then we need to, I think we need to look at, and I would encourage council to do this as well, what, again, is going to give us the most bang for the buck, but what are the priority needs? What are we hearing from the citizens? Because they're the ones we're working for. And what do they want is the priority? Then when we accomplish that within the budget that we have, obviously we'd like to have a third lane on I-90. Can we do that? We can't do that. Number one, it's not a city road, so we don't have that authority. We don't have the money to do that. Okay. Can we advocate for the state to do that? Sure. But what can we do within our budget that will give the citizens the most bang for their buck in looking at those different priorities? I look at infrastructure a lot because that's usually where you get the most complaints. What are our roads look like? Country Vista is looking kind of bad in front of Home Depot and places along there. Starting to see a lot of cracks, and some parts of Boulder are starting to look at. What do we need to do to make sure we're maintaining the infrastructure we have now? What do we need to do to improve infrastructure, increase infrastructure as we build out, as we get these businesses in that are coming in? And that's exciting when they're coming in. But do we have the money to take care of all that infrastructure? And if not, is there a way, and again, I don't know, this is something I would definitely learn, can we charge developers more? I know there's a formula for that. So I think that's what we need to do as far as, that's what I would look at as far as what are citizens asking for? What is doable within our budget? Let's do something easy first and put that number one just so we say, hey, we got something accomplished. That's always a good feeling. It's a good feeling for our citizens. And then what can we work on beyond that? We always have a lot of needs. We're always going to have more needs than we have money.
All right. So you touched on this a little bit in your previous answer. So which city services or facilities do you consider a priority?
City services I consider a priority, obviously, for safety. The police, I think we have to look at that. We're hearing more and more, I know you probably saw on Facebook that there was a break-in just across the street from me the other night. So we're seeing more and more, especially as we get the urban sprawl coming out of Spokane and Spokane Valley. So I would say city services that are most important are police and public safety. I think the library, obviously, is one of my pet loves, and just hearing from people as I was delivering baskets after our Valentine basket auction, and hearing them say, oh, we miss going to the library. We're so thankful that they're doing online programs and they're doing the take-home kits and everything. So I think making sure that the library provides as much service as it can is another priority. I would say that those are, to me, and it's interesting that they're both in the same building.
Good point.
You know, and again, making sure that, you know, we are doing our own snow plowing. I think that's been a great thing. making sure that those kinds of, again, infrastructure kind of services that we provide, any kind of road repair, sprinkler repair, park maintenance, so those kind of infrastructure things that, you know, our citizens love our parks. I know I sure do. I miss going when they all got shut down with COVID, and so did my grandsons. And I think those also are very important. So it's in police, library, infrastructure, kinds of services. Would be how my priorities would be. But again, I would listen to the citizens. What did they think? And I hear police a lot.
Yeah.
I hear public safety, I think, just yes, number one.
Okay. All right, we have one short question left of this section. We have two more to go. So again, just be mindful of your time. What is the biggest budget you've personally been responsible for administering?
Me personally, is probably about $4,000 when I was a department head at Earlham College. That was just for my counseling services job. I was on the budget committee for 2 3-year terms at Earlham College. And I was not alone in that. We had 3 teaching faculty, 3 administrative faculty, 2 hourly staff persons, and then the CFO of the college. We were responsible for developing and presenting to the Board of Trustees a budget of between $40 and $50 million. This is our operating budget, our annual operating budget that included salaries. It included maintenance costs. Salaries were the biggest thing, benefits. We started from zero every year. So we met all year long.
Okay.
Needless to say, we did not approve the budget. That was still the Board of Trustees.
Yeah.
But pretty much they rubber stamped.
Great. All right.
That's the biggest budget.
Thank you. So time and dedication. Serving on the city council takes an average commitment of approximately 8 hours per week, give or take, depending on who you are. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment to include preparation for regular and special council meetings, engaging with the community, and attending committee and training events.
When I teach online, and I have not taught this fall, and don't plan on teaching next semester either, but I always devoted 10 to 20 hours a week to my 3-hour credit hour classes. So finding 8 hours a week, now I expect to put 10 to 20 hours a week in as a city council member. Okay. To me, you don't do just the minimum. You do what needs to be done. And I do not teach my class in 8 hours a week. I don't expect to be able to serve on city council in 8 hours a week.
Okay, thank you. All right, the last section, 2 parts. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities?
Making sure that we follow the plan. I know we have a strategic plan that everybody worked really hard on. I think that's one of the things that I would look at when we're debating growth, development, infrastructure needs. Look at what our strategic plan is, and let's follow that. Second, what is going to change? COVID has impacted things. New people coming in from all over the country. Businesses coming in, what are we going to have to adjust? So looking at what we need to change. And again, I think we need to revisit the strategic plan and make sure that we're following it and that it still meets our needs.
All right, last section. How do you balance the best interest of all citizens against the interest of a smaller but much more vocal group?
We run into that a lot in social work. You have to make sure that the small vocal group believes it's being heard and being taken seriously. Then you have to figure out how to explain to them that this is what we need for the majority, for the common good, for the entire city. We'll accommodate what we can with your request, your demand, but here's what we can do. And here, I think making sure that they feel heard. That's the one thing I've learned in my many years of social work, is that people don't think they're being heard. And I think that's the most important thing. No matter how loud they are, they're loud because they don't think they're being heard.
Yeah.
And I think once they feel heard, then you can convince them that, hey, this is what we have to do right now for the good of the city, and the greater good for everybody.
Thank you very much. So, Holly, you've got 2 minutes. I'll wait for Todd to reset the clock, if he could. So 2 minutes, so you got 2 minutes is yours. Give a summary, tell us some more. It's all yours.
Well, I did not prepare anything tonight.
It's okay.
I just wanted to kind of come in and be myself. Well, I was myself last night too. You all know me. You know, I've come to city council meetings pretty much since I moved here. You know, I work hard. You've seen that with my work with the Friends of the Library. If I'm chosen, I guarantee you I will work hard. I will learn. I will come to meetings. I will go to other meetings. I'm excited to maybe, go to a Spokane Valley council meeting, because I guess they're all Zoom now, right? But I love to learn. A day that goes by that I don't learn something new is a day wasted, in my humble opinion. And I think there's so much to learn that I tried to learn not being a city council member, that I know I can learn if I am a city council member. I follow through. If I say I'm going to do something, and the Valentine basket auction is a good example of that. I said we'd have it. I hadn't figured out how we were going to have it, but I said we'd do it. And I figured out how to do it, and we did it. And I followed through. I said I would help, with a web page. I redid the web page. I said I do Facebook. If I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. I get along well with people, I think. It's something you have to do as a social worker. You can't like all your clients, but you still have to help them. So, I'm not sure what else to add other than if you select me, I don't think you'd be disappointed.
All right. I think that's a perfect way to wrap up your 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate it, Holly. So,
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you brought me back, and whoever is selected, I wish them the very best.
right, thank you. So we, after our executive session, we'll be coming back and the council will be deciding. So,
Yeah, I'm going to hang around to vote.
great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Holly.
All right, Sharon will be next.
It's working out well on the time.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Very well.
Sharon Cargill. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave.
Hi, Sharon, how are you?
Sharon, how are you tonight?
We're putting you a football field length away.
Yes, I feel very safe.
Welcome.
So again, up to you whether or not you leave your mask on or not.
I will take it off so you can see my face.
Great, and everybody else who's watching, don't. It's not national TV, but it means a lot to everybody here. So thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
So for the next 15 minutes, we've got a series of 4 sets of questions. There's a couple parts to a couple of them, so just be mindful of your time as we're going through that. And then at the end, you'll have 2 minutes to either give a summary, make any other statements about things that you think we may not have covered.
Okay,
All right, so if you're ready, we'll dig right in.
absolutely.
So the first section is on background and future commitments.
Okay,
So you've already shared your background with us last night. So this is an interim position that will serve through the November general election. If selected, please share with us what you plan to accomplish between now and November.
So, between now and November, I plan to accomplish being a strong leader on our council. I've been on the library board. I know there are some questions about this new agenda that's been coming up for a new library building. I wouldn't mind helping explain that as well. I also want to focus on the procedures for our community in moving forward from this past year. So building the infrastructure, and just going forward. I know we've had a tough year, although Liberty Lake has done well, which has been amazing, but we need to move forward, and I think that's what I would be focused on.
Okay. All right, so in addition to that, can you please tell us whether you intend to run for the open council position this year?
Yes, I would absolutely run for the open council position. I don't think that someone in this position being hired today or tomorrow, I would be able to accomplish a lot between now and November, and then just call it quits or say, I'm done, I did what I needed to do. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and you guys have done amazing, but it takes a long time to get things done, and I understand that. So absolutely, I would.
Okay. All right, our next section is on budget and city service decisions. So when faced with competing budgetary priorities, describe how you will make spending decisions to make the best decision for the city of Liberty Lake.
Well, really, for being on the council, we are an advocate for our community. So seeing what our community would like, and where their focus is where I would lean towards with whatever budgetary needs are. I do feel that safety is huge, with our growing city here. So I would also focus on, our public safety.
All right, so natural segue into the next piece of the question, which city services or facilities do you consider a priority?
Public safety. Yes, a priority. Let's see, I think the library is huge, obviously coming from the board. I think that's very important as it really brings the community together, and that's something that we need to do. So I do think public safety, and the library, and then, those are the two.
Okay. All right. So next question in this section is, what is the biggest budget you have personally been responsible for administering?
I wish I could say I remember what our HOA budget was. I apologize, and I don't. So I'm going to go with the library at this point. Just going over the budget and line items with what is needed to make our library run successful. This year, things were a bit different just due to COVID. But being a member of the board, I feel like we have gone over the library budget and have been able to sustain its membership for the community and do very well in the position and space that it's in.
Thank you. All right, so our next section is time and dedication. Serving on the city council takes an average commitment of approximately 8 hours per week, give or take. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment to include preparation for regular and special council meetings, engaging with the community, and attending committee and training events.
Absolutely. I have the luxury of being a stay-at-home mother. I substitute occasionally for elementary schools. I'm also a certificated teacher. So I really take jobs when I'm able to. Otherwise, I'm home with my 1-year-old son and my 5-year-old who goes to pre-K every couple days, well, Tuesday through Friday, for a couple hours. So I really have free time to be able to read. And I'm a lifelong learner. I love reading does, and I know not many people say that. I love administrative stuff, so, I won't find it difficult to make time, especially 8 hours a week, to get that done.
Okay. All right, next section is growth and development. The growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities?
I'm sorry, top 2 priorities of
So growth-related issues.
growth-related issues, okay. So, as a member of the community, I know Liberty Lake has very strong opinions, our community members, on residential homes versus, the higher occupancy. And I know that that's a very difficult decision. Really, I know a lot of our hands are tied with how, things are zoned. So, for me, I used to be one of those community members that was like, why? Why are we getting so many high occupancy, spaces here? And, really, it took, I heard Chris explain it one time. I'm sorry, Mayor Kevin, I am so sorry.
Don't worry about it.
I heard you explain it one time, and it really cleared for me. It cleared it up for me. So I think just making sure to educate the community on what our policies are doing, why we're making these decisions, instead of just saying, this is how it is, really lay it out. I know it's difficult to make or to say why, and then people are always going to be arguing or making an argument for the latter, but really just explaining it well enough so that people may not agree, but they understand, and that is important to me.
Okay. Right, and so the last question on here is, how do you balance the best interests of all citizens against the interests of a smaller but much more vocal group?
Oh, that's like teaching in a kindergarten class. So, not that I'm saying everyone's a 5-year-old, but I mean, deep down, we all kind of have that in us. So, I mean, really, it's just, you really just need to not put your feeling into it and take everyone's say, what they have to say into account, and really do what's best for everybody. So it's like that fair argument. What's fair? Fair is not equal. You don't give the same student, one student who, may need a little extra help understanding how to read, the same things that you would give a student that knows how to read at a first grade level in kindergarten. So you just maybe give some people a little extra time if they need it, but really at the end you're taking everyone's say into account. So just, I'm a good listener, so I don't mind hearing people be a little bit more vocal, but also there's some time when you say, we've talked about this, and this is what it is, and you explained it, additional questions are the same ones that we've been going over, then you can go into that, but it is, to me, teaching.
Great. Okay, all right, so those were the end of our questions. So Todd will reset the timer for 2 minutes. So feel free to share with us anything you think we missed or you missed, or time is yours.
Those were great questions. I just wanted to share that I really love learning, and I love getting to know the intricacies of how things work, whether it's policies, politics, the city, teaching. I got my undergrad in criminal justice and sociology, and I also got my master's in teaching. So I really try to understand how people feel, how they're working, and I try to get a lot of feedback, whether it's from myself, am I doing the right thing, or from what people are feeling on how to change things. When I was in Seattle, I went to the Citizens Police Academy. Like, I do these things for fun. So I would love to represent the city as a council member. I would be a strong leader. I really take other people's opinions into account, and I don't put my personal beliefs before anybody else, ever.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
No, that's
Okay,
all we have.
all right.
So thank you so much for coming in again tonight. So stick around
Okay,
after our executive session, and the council will be making a decision.
all right, thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, our next is DG. My head looks so small.
I like when you especially say 8 hours or thereabouts.
Yes. Welcome back.
Welcome.
If you see us squinting, it's because they have you so far away.
Squint away, my dear.
My near vision is winning out over my far right now. Thanks for joining us again.
You're welcome.
So during the session, we have a set of 4 questions, a couple with some subsets. And so we'll have 15 minutes to go through that. So kind of mind your time on the counter as we go through that. And then when we're finished, you'll have 2 minutes to share anything else you think we may have missed or you may have missed, and go from there. So if you're ready, I will start reading the questions. So you've already shared your background and experience with us last night. This is an interim position that will serve through the November general election. If selected, please share with us what you plan to accomplish between now and November.
What I plan to accomplish between now and November is to start where you folks are. What are the projects, the big capital facilities plan that you've got in progress, and what projects you're working on now? Work towards that end, to that goal, to facilitate the completion, or at least starting some of those projects in theory as you deliberate over them. Working on perhaps engaging the community a bit more, finding out their interests and finding out their vision. Oftentimes, it isn't that governments neglect that, but somehow that gets, it gets put on the wayside because we're hoping that they're paying attention. So I'd like to engage the community more, find out all of the projects, where you are in the process. There is lots of conversation about the projects that you have ongoing, that you're ready to button up, or that you're ready to put more focus on, trailheads, the golf course, all of these items of interest. And so from now until May, I think that is a good start, and then till November is to continue much of the same and concentrate also on our businesses and looking at what are the areas that are going to befall us once we're out of COVID. And we need to start thinking about that now, even though there is the CARES Act, it'll run out, of course, and we'll have to make sure that our businesses are still going to be solvent at the end of our current normal. So I'm going to play, I hope, a major role in helping with those ideas.
Okay. So as a quick follow-up, could you please let us know whether or not you intend to run for the open council position this year?
I do. I intend to run for the open seat this year because it would be disingenuous of me to want to represent for a moment when there's so much that I feel I have to offer And there's so many people out there that, I believe, are looking forward to a different voice to add to the equation. Yes, I do.
Thank you. So our next section is on the budget and city service decisions. When faced with competing budgetary priorities, describe how you will make spending decisions to make the best decision for the city of Liberty Lake.
Budget decisions aren't always easy to make, and sometimes you have to compromise when you're making those, because those decisions are going to impact the quality of life of every citizen who lives in the community and every business that does business here. I would prioritize them based on what our comprehensive growth management plan and how our capital facilities funding is going to help create funds that we need in order to complete projects. Prioritizing them based on those specific and special projects. Leaving nothing to chance, making sure that our budget remains solvent, that we have fluid funds, that our reserve funds are being replenished at the same time. So taking the priority that has already been set and changing the priorities if indeed the council comes to some decision that something has to be moved or shuffled around, that happens.
Okay, thank you. So for follow-up, which city services or facilities do you consider a priority?
Well, I consider infrastructure a priority, and infrastructure, of course, as you know, it entails everything from water, sewer, to roadways, to buildings. If our infrastructure is not intact, it's not at the optimum position that it needs to be, then things are going to fall through the cracks. People aren't going to be taken care of. A lot of people look at infrastructure just as roads, and it's just not that. It's a lot. It's about our water, making sure that our water is working in such a way that we work with the water and sewer departments, and that we try to ensure that we don't fall into the bubble that Texas is in. When you leave things to chance, sometimes you find yourself behind the 8 ball and you can't recover. So that's where I would start.
Thank you. And next one in this series is, what is the biggest budget you've personally been responsible for administering?
Well, I worked for the Secretary of State, for the state of California, as you know, 2 Secretaries of State. And I was part of the financial responsibility where we logged in and processed all of the statements of officers for everyone, every business in the state of California doing business. That was a $75 million budget. But I should say that there were more than one of us working on that budget, because a budget of that magnitude needs many eyes and many people working together in concert to make sure all the resources are in place, the revenue is generated, the funds that have to go out, the funds that must come in. So it was a pretty big budget. I was proud to have done that in my early time with the state of California.
Okay, thank you. All right, so our next topic is time and dedication. Serving on the city council takes an average commitment of approximately 8 hours per week, give or take. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment, to include preparation for regular and special council meetings, engaging with the community, and attending committee and training events.
I am open to all of that and more. I am a retired individual, and I do spend much of my time paying attention to what's going on in our community. I don't have a static calendar. It's very fluid. I'm able to pick up and go as I need and to engage in those things that I need to. And I would make sure that when I calendar things in, that everything has priority, and that I made as many obligations that were required, and then those that weren't required that I felt were extracurricular.
Okay, thank you. All right, our last section is on growth and development. So growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities?
My top 2 priorities, notwithstanding infrastructure, as I said, but the top 2 priorities I was thinking, what are we going to do with our aging in place population? What are we going to do with our seniors? We have almost 15% seniors 65 and older, and in the next 5 years, I believe we're going to have more, because people are staying in this area. What are we going to do? What are we going to facilitate their enjoyment? How are we going to make sure that they have all of their needs that we want, our parents, our grandparents? So that's the first priority. And then the second is making sure that our young people Our young people have things to do. COVID has manifested itself in a crisis of the mind. And our young students aren't quite sure, some of them, what happens next? How do we get out of this bubble? So while we're looking at making provisions so that our seniors are taken care of, then we also need to make provisions that the mental health of our youth are taken care of. And I think if we start at both ends, then we meet in the middle, and everything else takes care of itself.
Okay, thank you. And so the last question, so how do you balance the best interest of all citizens against the interest of a smaller but much more vocal group?
Well, I think a vocal group is important, I should say, because a vocal group kind of tells you where you are. So if you can meet that vocal group head on, and you know where you are, and you know what they want and their desires, and you've taken care of them, I think that's important to do so. But it's the ones that are quiet, the ones that lay dormant in their homes, that are wondering what's going on. And I think that the whole key is that the government divides itself out, prioritizes regions. We have neighborhoods within the larger community. Let's take some of those neighborhoods and find out individually how each neighborhood is impacted. Their interests and their visions may be different than the larger community. And I would say that I would look at dividing that time up to find out what each small neighborhood, the topography, geography, the points of interest, what consumes them, what are they looking for, what do they want, and then do that around the community. Even those leapfrog communities that are our river districts and Tertina, where based on the region and where they are, bringing them together as a part of the whole unit and finding out a way to merge their interests. Although they're doing a good job trying to take care of the region, but we need to bring the communities together because although we are many neighborhoods, it is one community. And I think that all of that is important.
Agreed. Okay, so that was the last scheduled question. So we're going to reset the clock for 2 minutes. So feel free to share with us anything, like I said, anything you think we may have missed or anything that you may have missed. So the next 2 minutes are yours.
Thank you. I am over the moon excited about this opportunity. I mean, you get, sometimes they say once in a lifetime opportunity. This might not be a once in a lifetime opportunity, but it is an opportunity for sure that elicits a lot of good feelings because it would avail me to experience even more people and more of the dynamics of this great community and again, of its neighborhoods. I get to meet people where they are and find out what their own personal needs are. Trying to help businesses come out of this storm when they do, even though we feel good about where we are, they're still going to need support and help as we move out of it. The mothers that are at home doing double duty, the fathers that are at home doing double duty, the people that are having to leave home to do extra duty and then come home in a COVID crisis. But the one thing that I feel confident in is that we've learned something. We've learned that COVID is going to bring us together or it's going to tear us apart. In our community, I think it's brought us together. It's given us the time to sit down, and I want to be able to sit down at the tables with people eventually and experience all that they are and all that they can give. I'm only one person, but I think through me there can be many voices that can be heard. I'm excited about that opportunity. I relish the opportunity to give back even more than I feel that I can give. I'm a wide open book. People who know me fully. They also know that I'm perhaps long-winded. I like to engage. But if we're not connected on a sensitive and a spiritual level, then we'll never connect. So this opportunity will give me an opportunity to stretch and grow a little bit further and to realize dreams that I have not realized in the past and to share other dreams and opportunities with others as well.
Great. Thank you very much. So we are going to go to executive session after our interviews are finished, and then the council will come out and go through the decision process. So you'll be here for that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, DG.
Thanks, DG.
Thank you very much.
All right, next is Jamie Freeze-Baird. I'm here again.
Thanks, Tate.
Thank you.
You look 4 in an hour. You're doing very well. It's good to remember this in the future.
Yeah.
It's a good process.
Hi, Jamie, welcome back.
Jamie, welcome.
Thank you.
So, stand up to you whether or not you leave your mask on. We're-
I still not used to speaking with it on.
Yeah.
Still.
It's a little difficult, so hopefully you're had some time to relax before this one. I know things were a little rushed yesterday because of the communication issues, so take a deep breath.
I'm fine now.
So, we'll have 15 minutes. We've got four questions, but a couple of them have some subsets. So just be mindful of the time as we go through. And then at the end, you'll have 2 minutes to use as you wish. You know, answer something you think we should have asked, or tell us more about yourself, however you want to use it.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'm going to go ahead and start. So the first section is on background and future commitment. So you've already shared your background with us last night, and we appreciate that. This is an interim position, as you know, that will serve through the November general election. If selected, please share with us what you plan to accomplish between now and November.
Sure. So one of the things that I plan to accomplish would be to work with the council on the upcoming agenda items. I know just from being on the planning commission, there's a lot on the docket. Everything from sign ordinances to landscaping to trailhead and all sorts of things. So with that, I would love to add my voice and advocacy to the council and then pursue election in November to continue that voice.
Well, you just took the next question right out of my
Sure.
mouth, so.
Sorry about
No,
that.
that's okay. I'm glad you anticipated that. So the next question was whether or not you intend to run this year, and it sounds like the answer is yes.
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add to that at all?
No, I think that sums it
Okay,
up.
great, thank you. All right, the next section is kind of 3 questions, budget and city service decisions. So when faced with competing budgetary priorities, describe how you will make spending decisions to make the best decision for the city of Liberty Lake.
Sure. So knowing that the council just completed their budget process, I know that there's always competing interests, and I think you have to balance what's good for the overall community with making sure that the city is not facing a deficit, but always planning for contingency and capital improvement, and making sure that those basic needs are covered before any of the wants or the wishes are covered. Sort of like running your own household budget. Make sure the bills are paid before you're pursuing extra things. That being said, I think that there are opportunities as the city continues to expand, as revenue expands, to tackle some of those wish projects that have sort of been the talk of the community for several years, especially since I've lived here. So I would love to see how some of those wants, if you will, can be incorporated moving forward if budget allows.
Right, okay. So the next question after that, so which city services or facilities do you consider a priority?
That is a tough question, but a good one. I think obviously our public safety is near the top, especially as we continue to grow. We want to make sure that Liberty Lake remains that Mayberry town, if you will, where it's safe for our families and our children. Also improving our infrastructure, you know, as we are putting in the new high school and we have the additions to our roads and those projects, I think that's paramount. I think citizens are always complaining about the traffic, especially during rush hours, so making sure that we're balancing infrastructure with growth and doing our best to stay in front of that, or at least catching up, if we are behind. I think in addition to that, you know, as we're looking toward the future, we want to be visionary, not reactionary. And I think that that's very important as we are planning for growth and making sure that we put money in places that make sense and that are going to do the most good.
Thank you. All right, third one in the series is, what is the biggest budget you have personally been responsible for administering?
Oh, boy. Let's see here. The biggest budget that I've been partially responsible for overseeing was right around $1 million. And that's for the current company I work with. That's our department's operating yearly budget.
Great. All right, so our next section is on time and dedication. Serving on the city council takes an average commitment of approximately 8 hours per week, give or take, depending on what's going on. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment to include preparation for regular and special council meetings, engaging with the community, and attending committee and training events.
Sure. So one of the perks of the pandemic has been the flexibility of working from home, which I've gotten to do now for a year. And with my company, that's going to continue for quite some time, even permanently. So that already offers way more flexibility in terms of when I am actually working and when I'm not. I get to sort of plan around that. Beyond that, I'm already used to some level of commitment from being on the planning commission. While it's nowhere near the level that the council utilizes, there's still that time commitment, and this would just be the next step above that.
Thank you. All right, and our next section is on growth and development. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs are, excuse me, let me start that again. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities?
My top 2 priorities would be, first of all, making sure that every voice is heard. I'm a strong supporter in making sure that every voice, every perspective is brought to the table. That helps you to form a better opinion or a better solution, making sure the pros, the cons have been weighed. But beyond that, there comes a time when you have to make a decision, and being able to be decisive is also a priority, especially when there are different opinions. Being able to look at all of the facts, all of the data, all of the perspectives, and narrowing down either choosing between a couple of perspectives or options, and then finally making that decision. And I think that both of those, right, so listening to your peers, but also being able to make that decision, not only would be important for council, but is important in the business world and in leadership in general.
Thank you. And the last piece is, how do you balance the best interests of all the citizens against the interests of a smaller but much more vocal group?
Well, that, you know, I deal with that every day with my job. I work, you know, in the finance industry and the human resources side of that, and there's always competing interests, competing voices. And part of that is making sure everyone feels heard. That is something that just as humans we crave, right, to feel heard. But beyond that, just being respectful, I think, can go a long way. I think sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's tempting to say things in haste that you come to regret later. But I think also part of being on a team is being able to go to the person and say, hey, I was wrong, or I shouldn't have said that, or, you know, I should have worded that differently. But in terms of balancing the competing interests and the vocal minority, if you will, is actively engaging with them, letting them know, like I said, that they are heard, even if you may not agree with their opinion. It can go a long way. And then being able to articulate perhaps why you do disagree, if it's permissible in the circumstances. and letting them know that you're open for further discussion. If there are areas to compromise on, then, pursue those avenues.
Right. Okay, so we're going to reset the clock to 2 minutes. So again, you've got this next 2 minutes to answer things you think we should have asked, or tell us more about yourself, or.
Sure.
So it's all yours.
Well, I do want to share that, it's been an honor being able to serve on the planning commission, and it really opened my eyes to the inner workings of local government. I have a bachelor's in political science and history, a master's in government and law and public policy, but it's one thing to have the theoretical knowledge, right, the textbook knowledge, but seeing it played every day has been one of the best things for my own personal growth and development, and also just for my own knowledge of how the local government works. And I've learned so much more about this community. I've been here almost 6 years, it'll be 6 years this year. And I always have grown up in small towns, and I love the small town feel of Liberty Lake. And one of the things I'm most passionate about, and one of the reasons I joined the Planning Commission, is to make sure Liberty Lake never loses that small town charm. And even though we make it bigger, our mission, our vision can make sure that stays. And so whether I'm appointed to the council or not, I'm still going to make sure to pursue that, be it on the Planning Commission or other avenues of service. And so again, I do appreciate the opportunity to be considered for this role.
Great. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to pursue it. So I think that's all we have for you at this moment. I think we have one more person, then we'll adjourn to executive session, and the council comes out and make some decisions.
Thank you
So
again.
thanks a lot, Jamie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and Drew Morrison will be next.
Want to give us at least 5 minutes before we get into the executive
Yeah,
session?
to get logged in and stuff.
Get up and around a bit.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back, I should say.
Thanks, Tate.
So it's up to you whether or not you leave your mask on. I didn't have a chance to tell you that last night, so I
Okay.
apologize.
Thank you. If you're okay,
All right, well, welcome back, Drew.
thank you.
And so the next 15 minutes, we're going to ask a couple of questions. There's actually 4 with some subcategories. So
Okay.
be mindful of the time as the clock in front of you goes down.
Okay,
And then at the end, you'll have 2 minutes to add whatever you'd like.
okay,
All
thank
right?
you.
So we'll go ahead and start with questions. So the first section is background and future commitment. So you've already shared your background and experience with us last night. This is an interim position that will serve through the November general election. If selected, please share with us what you plan to accomplish between now and November.
Well, I think that, what I'd like to do is develop like a consciousness of what it is to be a city council member and what I can provide, to this community. Because in the future, I plan to live here for a long time, and my kids are gonna grow up here. And I wanna find any way I can to help the community. So, what I wanna do is I wanna use this to see, see if I would potentially run for the position, in the future, and to, decide where else I can fit into the community. I think it's gonna open my eyes to a lot of, opportunities, in the future, and I have some time available to be able to do those things. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Okay, so you kind of answered a little bit what the next question is. So can you please let us know whether or not you intend to run for the open council position this year?
I can't say for certain that I would. I'm not gonna say 100% right now that I would. I'd like to be given the chance to work hard. The one thing I can say I would do is I'm gonna put my 100% of my effort into this position right now, with the anticipation that I would run in the future. But in all fairness, I want to know exactly what it entails and how I fit into that team before I make that commitment.
Fair enough. All right, so the next section has 3 questions on budget and city service decisions. When faced with competing budgetary priorities, describe how you will make spending decisions to make the best decision for the city of Liberty Lake.
Yeah, that's a good one. Those kind of decisions, no one's gonna feel comfortable with those decisions all the time, because sometimes there's no right answer. There's gonna be times where both sides of, you know, a winner and a loser, if you will, while it might not be a winner and a loser, are going to be upset with how that turns out. As leaders, though, those are the really important decisions that we need to make. How will I do that? Well, I'll go back to what our strategic plan is and look through what we are supposed to do as a city. I'd like to, in this position, I'd like to be, you know, strategic and thinking ahead, but I don't mind getting down into the nuts and bolts of what makes this a great community. And some of those details are in that strategic plan, obviously in the RCW 35 there, and all of our other guiding documents. So a lot of that information can be found there. Now, there can be decisions that come down to, well, it's more of a gray area. And those are the really hard ones that we as leaders need to solicit as much input as we can from the community, from the rest of our teammates here on the city council and the mayor, and then make our best judgment decision that we can, knowing that we're not going to please everyone. And that's okay. We need to be able to explain the process that we went through and why we made that decision. So if we work hard and put our good efforts into that, I think we can explain that. Like I said, I know not everyone will be happy, but as a pilot, I make a lot of decisions, and sometimes my boss wants to go somewhere, and I tell them, no, we're not going to go there because there's a snowstorm. And so, yeah, sometimes you're going to make people upset, but you do the best you can, and you can explain to them why you made the decision.
Okay, thank you. So the next piece of this section, so which city services or facilities do you consider a priority?
My own are what gives us our sense of community. So the infrastructure of this community is, you have to have that to function as a city. Secondary to that is the parks and the trails. That's what sets this city apart from so many other cities. The green space, the parks, the trail, where we get together when we're at the farmer's market. You know, it wasn't the same this last summer, but it will be again soon. And sitting on that lawn and seeing people that I hadn't seen for a whole week since the last time I was at the farmer's market, or for a couple of weeks sometimes, it's such a good feeling to know you're part of a community and you can sit down, listen to some music, and say hi. So that's what makes it different to me. There's a few other things that say he's done well. Some of it's just because it's so young, but the infrastructure is really nice. Another thing that I'd like to bring up, although the parks and the parks and the trails are my best part. The way that the city has used codes to ensure development in a way that it still brings together a sense of community and doesn't make us into one commercialized strip mall, gives us a sense of community. People can be outside dining and together, and I would really like that togetherness in our city.
Okay, thank you. So the last section of this one is, what is the biggest budget that you have personally been responsible for administering? I think you may have mentioned it last night, but we'll let you go ahead and start.
For actually administrating the whole budget, about $188,000 is essentially a travel budget while I was in the Air Force. At the same time, I was executing a much larger budget, but really what I was doing there was making sure that that was efficiently executed for a flying hour program, which was worth over $27 million. But again, to program and plan and execute an entire budget by myself was about $188,000.
Thank you. All right, our next topic is time and dedication. Serving on the city council takes an average commitment of approximately 8 hours per week, depending on what's going on. Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment to include preparation for special and, oh my goodness, I'm going to start that again. Said it too many times, I think.
Right, yeah.
Share with us how your schedule can accommodate this level of commitment to include preparation for regular and special council meetings, engaging with the community, and attending committee and training events.
Yeah, I think I thought a lot about this, but, before I did this. My biggest concern, up to now would have been, I would say my family. My job is pretty flexible, which I'll explain in a minute. But my family time is my priority. Now my kids, turned 5 recently. They go to Liberty Lake Academy right down the street here, and soon they'll be going to, kindergarten. And I'm starting to be able to come out of my parent shell just a little bit, where I was, mostly helping my wife, as well. And so I have more time to offer family-wise. So that part works out. With my job, I'm a pilot, and I'm a corporate pilot, and the company that I fly for, which is why I work for them, I love them, they use the airplane because they don't want to be parents who are away. So we go to our other offices throughout the Northwest. We usually leave very early in the morning. I am there all day, waiting to take them home. Usually I'll run, and then I will be looking for something else to do. So this would be my time to plan, and this is where I get the emails from the city, and I read through the packets, the agendas, that kind of stuff. So I already do that. There's a lot more reading I could do, and I'm looking forward to, as a teammate of the city council, of reading through everything that I can. But that's a good time for me to do that, away from family and with time to do that. So the work is flexible on that. We're generally back by 5, and it's only a couple days a week. So I think it should work out just fine with the timing of the city council meeting. I have time after that, on the weekends or whatever. We're generally around here at the parks and in the trails. So I think I have plenty of time to be able to dedicate to the city council.
Okay, thank you. All right, our last section is on growth and development. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities?
Could you say the first part?
Yeah, absolutely. Growth-related issues and infrastructure needs frequently generate strong debate and diverse opinions. What do you see as your top 2 priorities?
I guess with the infrastructure, one thing I would worry about, but actually you guys have been doing a pretty reasonable job, I think, with this, is setting up the infrastructure to accommodate the build out, okay, so the extra people. We're already doing things like, hey, we're gonna pay for a roundabout in another city. Hey, that's great, or help them at least, because it's going to help us out as well. So some of the things we've done along Appleway to prevent a lot of traffic and congestion in there, and then trying to think ahead on the other side of the city that's being built out, and there's going to be a whole bunch more people living there, how to avoid a lot of congestion and stuff in there. Liberty Lake is a town where you want to be able to commute around the town quickly, easily, and hopefully safely on your bike or walking or maybe your golf cart, without really worrying about it. And so I think that traffic congestion and ease of mobility would be probably my top concern.
Okay. All right, so our last question is, how do you balance the best interest of all citizens against the interests of a smaller but much more vocal group?
Yeah, that's difficult. Well, what you need to do is really hard. What you need to do is solicit input and sometimes pointed input. So you guys do a great job of getting out a lot of information. I mean, there's social media, there's the neon light sign over there at Trailhead, there's the splash, there's all different ways that the information gets out. But how does ideas get back to us? And that's not an easy task for anyone. What I would look for is kind of targeted ways. I think the kiosk at the farmer's market is awesome. I'd almost like to have a theme each week, like city transportation, and try and pull people in, because if they're given an idea, instead of just, hey, what's your good idea for Liberty Lake? Hey, let's think about this. Where's the best place to talk about someone with what could be better in the parks? Maybe the library story time with the kids, those kind of things, because you're targeting groups to get input from that may not just offer their input in a sort of citywide, hey, come help us, where you will get, in those kind of instances, you will get the people who are a small but very vocal group. So I think seeking that input out instead of just waiting for it to come to you is probably the best way.
All right, so that was our last scheduled question. So we're going to go ahead and reset the clock to 2 minutes.
Okay.
Like I said, go ahead, use it how you like. If we missed something that you want to share, or if something came up that you want to share, it's all yours.
Okay. Mayor, council members, first I just want to thank you guys. The citizens of Liberty Lake trust you to use their current money responsibly and to think ahead for the future. And they need the best representation possible. And you guys have taken a lot of time these last 2 nights to give them the best chance of that. So I thank you for that. I think I would be a good fit for this council position. I have not been as involved as I could have been. I think I could be a good teammate. What I can promise is that I would meet or probably exceed the expectations of the people of Liberty Lake. I'm going to work very hard to learn everything there is to learn, to read everything there is to read, to try and think strategically for the city, but not be afraid to get down into the nuts and bolts. I mean, I read the other day the new, lighting there. There's neon lights are allowed in some cases. Little details like that can make or break somebody's sense of community, and getting that input and not being afraid to get down to details while maintaining a strategic vision is, I think, important. And I think I can help do that on the city council.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming in and spending the last 2 nights with us.
You bet.
So we are going to adjourn the executive session shortly, and then after that, the council will come out and go through the decision process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
So, council, so we're going to first allow about 5 minutes transition time, given we had some little challenges yesterday getting the executive session going. So I guess I'm looking for input on about how long we think we will need an executive session. Last night we did about a little over a half hour.
You got to allow ourselves to lease it.
Oh. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem and then Hugh.
I think maybe we should allow ourselves at least a half hour. We went through the half hour last night. I'm not sure if any other council members feel we might just go to 45 minutes or not.
Councilmember Severs, you were next.
I was thinking there are fewer candidates. I was going to say 20 minutes, but I'd be good with a half hour.
Okay. Councilmember Kurtz.
I'm good with a half hour to 45 minutes. I want to make sure that I think we had a little bit of questions about process wise. And so I want to make sure that we're thoughtful about that, because this is different than it was last night. So even though there's fewer candidates, I think there may be more discussion. And
Councilmember Follier, I saw your hand up. And then Dan.
Oh, I'm good with 30 minutes.
Okay, Councilmember Dunn.
45 to accommodate process.
I'm good with 45.
Councilmember Langford, opinions? Doesn't matter.
45.
5?
45.
Oh, I thought you were saying 5.
Thank you,
Okay,
45.
well, again, I'd rather give us a little extra money, well, that will take that,
I'll take it.
a little extra time, and if we get out
6
early,
minutes,
we
Bob.
can a little bit of rest. So let's do 45 minutes. That would put us back in at 8:15. I don't know if Sean's trying to jump in here, but we will be doing executive session to discuss qualifications pursuant to RCW 42.30.110H. Sean, do you have anything to add before we break to executive session? And then for the candidates and their families, and Councilmember Kurtz, I'll get just a second. We'll be coming back into this meeting notice and this dial-in at 8:15 if you want to join us then. Okay, Councilmember Kurtz and then Councilmember Severs.
We come back at 8:20, so we have a 5-minute break and then 45 minutes.
Works for me. Councilmember Severs?
That's what I
Good?
was thinking.
Okay, Sean, do you want to jump in before we go?
I do not have anything. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, great. All right, thanks everybody for attending. We will be back at 8:20. Please dial in. Thank you. Okay, so you've got Phil, you've got Hugh, Annie and Mike. We got Dan and Odin. So once everybody's on, everybody join back in, I'll go through the process that the council's going to use for narrowing things down. So there's nothing specified in the council rules of procedure And so we've traditionally done it one or two ways in the past, but with such a large applicant pool, we had to adjust that somewhat. Still missing.
I've seen Odin and Dan.
Yep. Okay, still have a couple minutes till we're official. Hey, there's Sean.
Sean, just came.
Yeah.
Usually we don't have them. That's unusual.
Oh,
Should we have Katie Coleman? Well, there's Odin.
early.
Christy, would you like me to call someone?
No, I see Odin, now we're just waiting on Dan.
There we go.
All right, let me get him in here, showing up down there. Okay, make sure I get everybody on the same screen. Give me just a second. Why isn't this working? Okay, all right, I'm gonna move you guys around so I got you all in order. All right, everybody, looks like we have all our council members accounted for. I see Councilmember Foyer, Severs, Dunn, Langford, Kurtz, and Kennedy. So, now comes the stressful part. I'm really sorry. You guys have all done fabulous, and we would be honored to have any one of you serve with us. So please keep that in mind going forward. We want to see all of you around. So let me go through real quick the process that we're going to go through tonight. So it can be it's a little complicated, so if you need me to repeat anything, let me know. So we are going to go around the dais council positions 1 through 6, just in order, so there's no special order with that. Each council member is going to give the names of their top 3 candidates, and Swenson is going to tabulate those, and we'll announce who's moving forward. If there is a tie, so basically the person with the least number will be eliminated, but if there's a tie, I'll be breaking the tie. I don't want to do that, but I will have to do that. So then the second round will be very similar. So each council member will give their top 2 at that point, and then again, tabulate. Whoever has the least number of votes will be eliminated. If there's a tie, again, I'll break the tie. Third round, top 2, same situation. Fourth round, top 1, and then by the 5th round, we'll be down to the last 2 people. And at that point, we'll just go around and people will say the name of the person they're voting for, and the first person really who gets 4, yes, there's 4 votes is our next council member. So unless you guys have any questions, I guess we can get started. Okay, everybody take a deep breath out. We've got a question from Councilmember Severs. What's up?
I don't know if clarification is needed because you already said you're the tiebreaker, but even in round 5, you're the tiebreaker. Correct.
Lucky me. Yes. Okay, so if you guys are ready, so I'm just for clarification purposes, I'm going to read the positions out right now so we all know what order you're in. So Councilmember Foyer is position 1, Councilmember Severs is 2, Councilmember Dunn is 3, Councilmember Langford is 4, Councilmember Kurtz is 5, and Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy is number 6. So that's the order that we'll be going in. All right, so I guess we'll start with Councilmember Foyer. If you can share with us your top 3, and Ann will be tabulating for us.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. My top three in the first round here is Chris Cargill, Drew Morrison, and Jamie Baird.
Okay. Councilmember Severs.
Yes, my top three is Chris, DG, and Holly.
Okay. Councilmember Dunn.
Sharon Carvo, Jamie Beard, and Holly Woodruff.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Langford.
Woodruff, DG, Baird.
Thank you. Councilmember Kurtz.
Holly Woodruff, Jamie
Madam
Baird.
Mayor, excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Yes, go
Can I
ahead.
get Councilman Langford's Tully again? I wasn't quite clear on what he had said.
Sorry, you're a little muffled. Were you asking for Councilmember Langford to repeat?
Yes, please.
Holly Woodruff, DG, Jamie Baird.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Go ahead, Councilmember Kurtz.
Holly Woodruff, Jamie Baird, Drew Morrison.
Okay, thank you. And Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy.
It'd be Holly Woodruff, DG Garcia, and Jamie Baird.
Okay, thank you. So Ann, if you could, I'm doing my own tracking, but I'm not official. So Ann, if you will take a look and let us know who is moving forward and if we had a tie. And you're on mute.
Okay. So the candidates that are advancing that I tally are Jamie Freeze Baird, Holly Woodruff, and DG Garcia. And then I do show a tie for Chris Cargill and Drew Morrison.
Okay. And where is Sharon Carvo falling?
I have one tally for her.
Okay. All right. So, so Sharon, where did you go?
Thank you very much.
Thank you much for participating. And hey, you need to keep control of that library board. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So we will go on to round two. So each council member will, from the remaining candidates, and give us their top two, please. So Councilmember Follier.
Oh, boy. Man, such good candidates. Jamie Baird and Chris Cargill.
Thank you. Councilmember Severs.
Chris Cargill and Holly Woodruff.
Councilmember Dunn.
Jamie Baird and Holly Woodruff.
Councilmember Langford.
Jamie Baird and DG.
Okay. Councilmember Kurtz.
Jamie Baird and Holly Woodruff.
Okay. And Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy.
Holly Woodruff and DG Garcia.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ann, we'll give you a minute or so to take a look. If you can let us know the four who will be advancing.
Okay, well, I'm showing that we have two ties. We have two for Chris Cargill, two for DG Garcia. And then we have four for Jamie Baird and four for Holly Woodruff.
And so Drew will not be moving on?
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so
much.
much, Drew.
Thank you.
Stay involved, please.
You bet. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, so round three. We're going through our top two of,
Hi.
oh, well, no, so we eliminated the bottom ones.
Gotcha.
The ties were above.
Correct.
Yep. Okay, so round three, we're doing top two again. So go ahead, Councilmember Follier.
Chris Cargill and Jamie Baird.
Okay. Councilmember Severs.
Chris Cargill and Holly Woodruff.
Okay. Councilmember Dunn,
Jamie Baird, and Holly Woodruff.
Councilmember Langford,
Jamie Baird, DG.
Councilmember Kurtz,
Holly Woodruff, Jamie Baird.
and Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy.
Holly Woodruff and DG Garcia.
Okay, all right, so go ahead, Ann. I believe we have a tie that I need to break. If you can confirm.
Yes, to confirm, we have 2 for Chris, 4 for Jamie, 2 for DG, and 4 for Holly.
Okay, so it looks like I need to break the tie between Chris Cargill and DG. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do this. But I will go ahead and break the tie and move DG forward. Thank you very much, Chris. All right, so the next round, we're just one, correct, is where we are? Yes, so your top one, and I will go ahead and start. So Councilmember Follier,
Jamie Baird, Holly Woodruff.
no, just one.
Sorry, one. Oh, Jamie Baird.
Thank you, nice try.
Sorry.
Councilmember Stevens,
Holly Woodruff.
Councilmember Dunn,
Jamie Baird.
Councilmember Langford,
Jamie Baird.
Councilmember Kurtz,
Holly Woodruff.
Mayor Pro Tem Kennedy.
DG Garcia.
Okay. So Ann, if you can just give a quick.
Okay, so I'm showing a tally. Jamie Baird, 3, DG Garcia, 1, Holly Woodruff, 2.
Okay, sounds like our final two. Thank you so much, DG. We know we will see you around.
Yeah.
We better. We appreciate you coming out. All right, so our final two are Holly Woodruff and Jamie Freeze Baird. So at this point, we will go around the dais and everyone will say a name, and the first person to 4 will be our next council person. Okay, so Phil Foyer, are you ready?
Yes, Jamie Baird.
Okay. Councilmember Severs,
Holly Woodruff.
Councilmember Dunn,
Jamie Baird.
Councilmember Langford,
Jamie Baird.
Councilmember Kurtz,
Holly Woodruff.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Holly Woodruff.
Really?
We have a tie.
It's a tough night.
Jamie Freeze Baird, 3, Holly Woodruff, 3.
I'm like the queen of the tiebreaker is going to be my legacy here. Oh boy. All right, give me just a minute. Can we have both of you and share? Okay. All right, I am going to break the tie, and Holly, you will be our next council member. And Jamie, I want to see you filing in May, please.
Please, please.
All right, so thank you so much. Congratulations, Holly. And I guess we can do a swearing in. Thank you so much, Jamie. This was really tough. I wish you guys could share the position. I really do. I wish we could. Okay. All right, thanks, Jamie. All right, so I guess we move into the oath of office. You ready for that, Holly? Here comes Anna, or somehow let's get you on the camera. I don't know if you can.
Who has a camera?
Well, we're going to try to get them on, as long as you guys don't you guys can manage your distance, but at least if Holly's on.
Holly can take this stage. Oh, you want me to just so I can be seen?
So it's up to you. I think we should see you.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Holly Woodruff. I, Holly Woodruff. Do solemnly swear. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington. And the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington. And all local ordinances. And all local ordinances. And that I will faithfully and impartially. And that I will faithfully and impartially. Perform and discharge the duties. Perform and discharge the duties. Of the office of City of Liberty Lake. Of the office of City of Liberty Lake. City Council Position 7. City Council Position 7. According to the law. According to the law. And to the best of my ability. And to the best of my ability. Congratulations, Council Member Woodruff.
Welcome, Holly. So we'll get you your meeting materials as soon as possible. The training books about this big, so you know. But no, yeah, we'll get you all set up. Katie usually does
Orientation.
an orientation.
So
you guys
we'll
can
get
come
together tomorrow and look at our calendars and put something together. I think I might have the handbook.
Okay, hold on real quick. Thank you, everybody, for sticking through this. We really do appreciate every candidate that has come out. Quality group, and it was really tough. And, from my personal experience, and Odin went through a similar experience, I interviewed, didn't get it. I ran, lost my election, interviewed, disappointed. So stick with it, and we hope to see everybody back involved with the community going forward. You guys, council members, have anything to add?
Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I'd say, one, welcome, Holly. You've been around for a long time, and we're thrilled to have you. But two, wow, what a group of candidates we had. I mean, of the 6 people that showed up tonight, every one of them would have been amazing people to have on council. So I really sincerely hope we see all of them running in May.
I hope so too.
All right. Councilmember Dunn.
Just want to say thank you, Holly, for all your work, and specifically orientation to the library. Your commitment and leadership has been a real great asset, and so much looking forward to as you can charge on for the city here at the council.
Thank you. They have to find a new president for that.
Well, I don't know. We talked about that. We'll have to figure that out.
It's not a commission, it's not appointed by the council.
Councilmember Kurtz.
I just want to say congratulations, Holly. I'm looking forward to working with you. And then for the rest of the candidates that applied and made it through to the interviews and everything, and for those who got to see last night, I hope that you guys get involved in some way in the community, whether that's other committees or council or just something else, because I feel really excited again about the people that live in our community and the people that wanted to be involved. And that's what makes this community great. So I'm glad to see you up here, Holly, and I'm hoping that everybody else stays involved.
Thank you.
And Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to compliment everybody who's applied, those that made it to the interview tonight, and also those that came last night. But keep in mind, coming in April, we have 5 positions open this year. We have 4 council members and a mayor is running. So the individuals who've taken the time to fill out applications, do the interviews, seriously consider filing in April, pick a position, and get involved. I think you have a great chance. Thank you.
All right. If nobody else has any further comments, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Congrats.